Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Traditional Gourmet. Tonight we're going to be making sweet chili glazed Duroc bone-in pork loin along with honey soy glazed carrots and steamed basmati rice. Now I like to use this Duroc pork for a lot of things. I discovered this a couple of years ago and it is available commercially or even on the internet through a company called Compart. And they carry a whole line of these Duroc pork products. Now, the Duroc pork is a heritage breed. It's not like the commercial bred pork that you see all today. It still has a lot of the flavor and a lot of the moisture that should be in the meat, along with quite a bit of marbling. Now, today's commercially available pork has had all of the fat and all of the flavor consequently bred out of it to make it the other white meat. But it's not a white meat, it's a red meat. Anyway, so we're going to use this Duroc pork loin, bone in. It's an amazing product. Let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you what we're going to get done. Okay, now we're going to start off with our basmati rice because this is actually going to be the longest part of the process potentially, depending on the pork and how long it takes to cook. You do want to rinse your rice very, very well. By rinsing it, you're going to remove a lot of the starch molecules that have broken off the rice and will otherwise absorb the liquid and make your rice very sticky. So we're going to pour this water out. See how cloudy that is? We want to get that to where it's nice and clear. And this could take anywhere from 3 to 4 to even 5 rinsings to get the proper clarity that we're going to be looking for. Make sure you don't get that rice down in your garbage disposal. It'll clog that thing up. There we go. See, we're getting much clearer already. Agitate it slightly. And then we'll pour that excess water out. We're getting very clear now. Maybe one more time. Okay, see, the water's getting a lot clearer. So, I think we're good. And I've got about 1.5 cups rice here, and the cheater method you can do is when you measure your rice for steaming like this, use the fingertip method. And what you're looking for is you want the water level, you touch the top of the rice, and you want the water level to come down to just the middle of that first digit. So we are just a little bit too high. So we're going to pour out some water, and I think we're good. We're right about halfway. So a trick I was taught years ago with doing basmati and jasmine rice, to get the best possible cooking out of it, you're going to put your water in it and then you're just going to let it sit at room temperature for about half an hour. Then go ahead and start activating your steamer, or if you're going to use it, put it into a commercial steamer, then go ahead and put it in the steamer. But let it sit out at room temperature for about half an hour. Let it start to absorb that liquid before you start cooking it, and you'll get much better results. So I'm going to get this onto the steamer and we'll jump over to the cutting board and get everything else going. Okay, so now we're back at the cutting board. If you can tell, you can see in here maybe, you can see quite a bit of the marbling. It's very faint, but it is there. And this one as well, even more so pronounced than this one. So that just tells me it's going to have a little bit more flavor than it would with, say, a commercially bred hog. So first thing we're going to do, we need to get this seasoned up. I'm not really worried too much about pepper this go around. We do have a lot of flavor in the sweet chili sauce that it is going to impart on the meat. And as it cooks, it'll glaze into it. It'll form that nice glaze on the exterior, and it's going to look very nice. Now you want to make sure you get enough salt on the outside, because that's the only place it's going to get seasoning. And this is a little bit thick. These are some thicker cuts, probably 2 inches on this one. This one's probably 1.5 inches. So pretty good size. So I'm going to go ahead and get my seasoning put away. We'll get set up, ready to glaze. All right, so basically I've got these set up on a little broiler pan, sprayed really well with some pan spray because this glaze is going to condense and gets really sticky and maybe even burn on this. So I want to make cleanup as easy as possible, especially if my wife's going to be doing it. But first things first, we'll go ahead and start brushing on the glaze. We'll just start with a light one on the outside. Make sure we get all the surfaces. You can already see the color that that thing's going to turn out. Is going to start off with. Make sure you don't get the bones, otherwise you'll just get black char all over them. So we'll start off with a good coating, and then we're gonna hit it with another layer or another coat while it's in the oven, probably every 5-6 minutes. And we are gonna cook this at 400 degrees. Now, normally, like with barbecue, low and slow, you got a lot of fat in your meat and you've got very tough muscle fiber that you got to break down. That's not the case with these pork loins. You have very tender meat with very little fat. You get a little bit of fat out here on the outside, but not a whole lot. And you have to do tender meat though. So we want to cook it pretty fast, seal in the moisture, and get it to our final cooking temperature, which I'm going to cook these to just about medium, a little bit more than medium. So I also want that high heat in there to reduce the moisture content in my glaze and give me a nice coating on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and get these in the oven and we'll get that process going. Alright, so for our honey soy glazed carrots, we're going to have our main ingredients are going to be carrots, obviously. We'll have some ginger, some garlic, and then of course honey and soy, and then a little bit of salt just to season it up. Some very basic, simple flavors. In fact, we probably wouldn't even need that much salt just because of the sodium content in the soy sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I got to chop my garlic and I got to chop my ginger, and then we'll get the carrots cut, and I'll walk you through the process. First, we have our ginger, and you just want to chop it like so. Just give it one more little once through, and that's it. That's it. We got our chopped garlic and our chopped ginger. All right, so I'm going to cut my carrots in a style that's called oblique. It's a traditional French classical technique. And basically you have your carrot 45 degrees, or you're going to rotate it quarter of the way, 45 degrees cut, quarter turn, 45 degrees cut, quarter turn, 45 degrees cut, quarter turn. And that's what you end up with. Classic oblique. Okay, there's our oblique carrots cut. Now the idea is oblique obviously meaning undefined shape, but we have a certain technique that we do apply to it. The important thing here is you're not going to get them all the same shape, but you do want to get them relatively the same size, and that will help with them cooking evenly in the oven. We're going to go ahead and step over here, get our glaze going for our carrots, and I'll whip that up. We got our garlic and our ginger already here. Little bit of soy sauce. That's probably enough there. And of course some honey. I've got some flavored honey here, lime and sea salt. I think that'll be a nice addition. There are so many flavored honeys out there these days. You can just take your pick, find out what you want. I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of the sweet chili sauce that I'm using to glaze the pork chops into this, and just add a little bit extra flavor. So we've got the garlic, the ginger, the soy sauce, the honey, and the sweet chili sauce, and we are looking good. So we'll put our carrots in here. Just toss them in the dressing, and then we're going to go right onto this sheet tray that I've sprayed with non-stick spray. Once again, you want to make sure that you're not going to get anything that sticks to the pan that you can't get off. All right, so we got our carrots. You want to spread them out so they're flat, but you don't want to leave too many spaces in between, otherwise you have the opportunity for your glaze to burn on the carrots. All right, so we're good there. We can go ahead and pop these in the oven. That's fine if they finish early. We'll leave them sit out. They'll be fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pop these in the oven. While I'm in there, I'm going to go ahead and take the opportunity puts another glaze on the pork chops. We'll be right back. Okay, so it's been half an hour since we got the rice soaking. Doesn't really look a whole lot different from that point, but trust me, there is some magic going on. So we're going to go ahead and plug in the steamer, and I will activate the cooking process, and we'll come back in probably about 20 minutes and check it out. Okay, so our pork chops are starting to look pretty good. I remember I said if you had a convection oven at home, that is going to really help you set the glazing process. If not, your oven most likely has a broiler, which will help you accomplish the same thing. So we're going to let these go probably another 10 minutes. We'll put one more final glaze on them, and then we're going to turn that broiler on and really set that final glaze. These carrots are looking good. They still got a little bit of time to go. We'll finish up here in a little bit. All right, here we are. They're both about 120 degrees at this point. I want to get them up to 135 for a nice medium, and then that's going to be it. The glaze is almost set. I'm going to put just a little bit more on here, and then we're going to get them back into the oven. We'll turn the broiler on, and it will not be but maybe 4 minutes from that point. So there we go. We'll check back in a second. In the meantime, the carrots are all done, and they came out very nice. Okay, y'all, there it is. Sweet chili, glazed Duroc bone-in pork loin, some really fluffy basmati rice. That letting it soak a half hour before we start the cooking process makes a huge difference. And then we have our honey soy glazed carrots. They all came out wonderful. They're ready to become my wife's lunch tomorrow. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit me up with some comments. If there's something you want to see me do, hit me up with that as well. Until next time,